that's good. Oh, so right here, 164 says postural distortion patterns. That's the predictable patterns of muscle imbalances. That's the chart that you see in chapter 6. All those muscles that went over. They're just predicting that it's possible that it's these muscles. Then you go to relative flexibility, tendency of the body to seek the path of least resistance. What's an example of that?
Relative flexibility?
Yeah, what's an example of relative flexibility?
Press. You can
Yeah.
do a lot more down.
Yeah, or like the overhead squat, the feet going inward, and the arms falling forward, the back arching. It's trying to find a way to make it easier. So this person in the picture, her feet are going out, probably because she can't dorsiflex. So instead, she puts her feet, her knees out wide and makes a shorter path. Or the picture of the person's back's arching. Now flip over to 166. I see this in every exam. Muscle imbalance. That definition right there. Alteration of muscle length surrounding a joint. So this muscle imbalance is what's leading to all these other things on the next page. Because there's an alteration of length, the person's going to have an altered reciprocal inhibition. But first, let's define reciprocal inhibition. Right here, 167. So, the simultaneous contraction of an agonist and its relaxation of the antagonist. So if I'm walking like this, if you have a tight hip flexor, then the glutes are not going to fire. So even when you hit the ground, the glutes ain't firing, and the hamstrings don't get involved too much, right? Which is synergistic dominance. So you need to have extensibility of the hip flexors in order to have balance for the glutes, as it's called in the back arch and all that. But that's a natural phenomenon. It's saying a natural phenomenon is it's supposed to contract and the other one relax. But when it's too tight, it doesn't send a drive, like a neuromuscular drive, to the glutes. And that's altered reciprocal inhibition from the muscle imbalance, which eventually leads to synergistic dominance. The hamstrings taking over more, which then leads to altered joint movement, and then a neuromuscular problem where like you're so used to doing that over time where it doesn't even work ever, and you can't fire it, which leads to tissue fatigue and injury. That's that thing I just went through at the top of the page. I just did the whole thing right there. See it? Mm-hmm. The muscle imbalance leads to an altered reciprocal inhibition. Now there's a synergistic dominance, something is taken over, and you get some kind of weird joint motion, orthokinetic dysfunction, which now leads to a neuromuscular control that's altered, your muscle starts fatiguing, and then you pull your hamstring. And everyone just is like, I guess I didn't warm up enough. Like, no, this was problems for years now that you didn't fix. And your hamstring's working too hard for your glutes. And then you start running and you extend your knee and hamstring pops. Because your quads are stronger than your hamstring and your glutes are weak. That's why. That makes sense, that whole thing right there? You good with that? Autogenic inhibition. So let's go to the next page. Well, it starts in 168 with muscle spindles. It talks about it in chapter 2. It says, let's see if there's anything on this page I didn't notice. Well, go to the top of 169.